Hey guys, hello, welcome. It's the NE Wrestle Podcast. We are here recapping state wrestling. What a weekend it was in all classes, girls, guys. Just an amazing weekend. But first and always, we've got to give Joe a shout out in Inshore, Nebraska. Appreciate you. Thank you for everything that you've done for us throughout the whole season, for making this podcast possible. It's been an amazing experience and really, really actually excited to talk about the culmination of high school wrestling as it came to an end over the weekend and just gave us fantastic moments left, right, up, down, wherever through the girls and starting with the girls and then the boys tournament. So guys, what are your just initial thoughts as you are recovering from the grueling 5-day stretch of wrestling?
Yeah, I think just that, you said over the weekend a few times there, you can't really call it a weekend anymore. It's 5 days of wrestling. It's a ton of action day after day after day after day.
It's a week. We're calling it a week because it doesn't, for us, it doesn't stop. The second brackets come out for boys on Saturday. Anyways, keep going.
That's all I wanted to get out, man. It's a lot of wrestling, and I guess first thought is I'm glad to have a little chance to breathe, and whether how well that's going for us, but I get a chance to go.
We're all a little under the weather
here. Yeah, a lot of bodies down there, and a lot of things floating around, but yeah, no, a lot of fun though. I mean, that never changes.
I kind of wanted to give a shout out to myself for winning the 20th annual NE Wrestle team draft, although this goes way beyond the inception of NE Wrestle. I won I think I'm 19 out of 20 years.
That's freaking stupid.
We snake draft every class, and now both girls classes as well. I'll give a shout out to Colin that cumulatively for the two girls he beat me, but overall all six.
It's absolutely asinine because I start scoring that thing after I guess this time around it was on, Monday or Tuesday night, and you just start seeing Drew start taking the lead every single first session, and I instantly, it sets the tone for me to be pissed off the rest of the week.
Yeah. You're a lot more apt to post the scores if I'm not doing well, and so I saw those scores weren't being posted very often in our group chat. It's like, okay, I'm doing good.
Yeah. If I'm posting quickly, then that means Drew's not winning.
Yeah, exactly. So I did want to say about tonight's podcast or today's podcast. We're probably going to leave a couple things for future ones so we can sort of focus on recapping state. But we do want to sort of get into the state tournament structure, the how many classes should Nebraska have. There's all the things, and there's all the hot takes out there. So
those will be fun.
Yeah, and so I think that's something that we're going to leave for a later date because as it stands, we got a lot to cover. Colin?
Yeah, I mean, still trying to recover from the state tournament, and we're all battling, so we'll get through it.
I think it was interesting, I have to say, since I finally got to see the whole week of it, because you guys warned me multiple times over the season, just wait till the state tournament, you're in for a treat, all this, I mean, whatever way you want to put it, but covering the 2 days and then going straight into the boys, holy crap, and then I haven't also been to an A&D session on Thursday for quite some time. And so adding all of that, just nonstop stuff by the end of Saturday, I was ready to be home. And usually I don't say that very often when it comes to state tournament wrestling, but I was getting ready to be like, whew, man, that's just a lot. So that was my unique perspective being on this side of it now. So
as we continue to sort of improve or refine or whatever you want to call it, maybe there's a path to at least some of you guys having a little more time. I don't ever see that for myself, but I think we can do it. Anyways, should we get into this thing and sort of start?
Yeah.
just kind of going away with like the takeaways of the tournament. I know replay was a big thing, and I mean, what else, guys? What else you got on the
You want to start there? I mean, we could start there. That was kind of one of the interesting things, like just kind of adding something new to the state tournament. It always seems like, I mean, we kind of mentioned it a few times, at least in our notes, like always adding stuff to make it better, right? And so like Nebraska obviously was the only state in the country to incorporate replay into their state finals, I believe. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that was quite the interesting topic, kind of seeing how was that going to unfold, like.
So I have some stats here, and then I'm going to turn it over to Colin, because Colin actually Colin's an official, and he was actually on the replay committee, right? Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So for the replay, we had one challenge for girls. It was the very first match, which is crazy. Only one single challenge. For boys, there were 11. There was one call overturned, and the average time taken to review the call. Any guesses? Do you guys know this?
Minute 45.
I'm going to say 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
Okay. Sean's closer.
I'm going to say it's under 2 minutes.
Yeah,
there was one in class.
92 seconds.
Yeah, there was one in Class C that took a really long time. That they looked at for a really long time, and I think that's actually the one that ended up getting overturned.
Oh yeah,
Gotcha.
I think you're right, because I was sitting at that time. I was along the media row,
right
there, and I was sort of looking across to B. But yeah, I think you're right.
It's probably why I thought it was 3 minutes and 10 seconds, because it must have been that one in my mind.
Maybe because Kale's locked into C. So Colin, do you want to like talk about like what all went into the replay thing?
Yeah, so the replay, it's good. I think it's needed. The thing about, like, you've seen some people comment, like, coaches weren't using them right because they weren't getting overturned, all this. Like, coaches were throwing them to get their wrestlers breaks. I never felt like anybody threw a desperation brick to get, like, or a break or brick out there to get their wrestler a break. I never felt like that was a problem. I did get a little worried with Creighton Prep, though, in Class A. Their first finalist was Cruiser Dominguez at 120, and the next 3 matches they threw challenge bricks like in the first period. And I'm going, holy cow, Creighton. Yeah, I'm like, holy cow, Creighton Prep's going to ruin this for everybody. And I mean,
but they didn't, right? They cooled off after that,
right? I don't think they threw another one after that.
Yeah.
The tricky thing with the replay is with two officials on the mat, very rarely is something going to get missed. So more times than not, a call is going to get upheld. The other thing that was really tricky is there was only one camera angle, and I think as replay evolves with the state, like I think we could see it trickle past the semifinals, but then you got to have a bigger panel of people to work the replay.
Man, it's a lot of moving parts when there's right there.
And like, yeah, you could get into the semifinals, but if you do that, you almost have to go to like a replay center somewhere within in the CenturyLink, and for that to happen, there's going to have to be a huge technology and financial investment, if that makes sense. Like how we're doing it now, they can make it better by getting better cameras. Like the cameras, I'm going to be honest, weren't great at all, but I never felt like that was an issue with
determining a call.
Not determining whether a call was overturnable or not. And
they gave a list of things to coaches that they gave it to the coaches, right? So the coaches knew what they could challenge and what they couldn't.
It stayed in the corner with them. Like it stayed on the corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So that way the next coaches up we're getting the same laminated card.
And I think one of the things that you'll see with improvement, like let's be honest, like Creighton Prep, they had 10 finalists. They had 10 challenge bricks to use. because you got 1 brick per finalist per match, and that's obviously going to change, like as things progress here. You know, they're probably going to put like if you have 1 to 3 finalists, you get 1 challenge. If you have 3 to 6, you get 2. If you have
Kind of like
6
the kind of
plus,
like the coach's wristbands.
right?
Type-
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh, jeez.
I keep interrupting you, but like you keep.
So I mean, I thought the replay, I mean, from the bricks that I seen thrown, I thought they were legit bricks to throw. You know, it's a judgment call on whether it's a takedown inbounds or not. Like the one in the girls' final was honestly closer than I thought it was watching it live. And at first I'm like, there was like 10 seconds left in the match, and Haley True's winning 5-1 or whatever it was. And I'm like, why are you throwing this challenge brick? But then like I sat back and I thought to myself, well, you throw the challenge brick because it makes it 8-1 instead of
Right.
you know, 5-1.
Survive a throw and get
right,
7.
Right. So after I sat back and looked at it, and like I'm like, yeah, that's a good challenge. You know, so I never felt like anybody threw a challenge brick to get their guy a break.
And I'll say on that one, because that was the one I was really locked into, I was sitting almost right there, and it was the officials got it correct, but it was also a great challenge. But like, she shot in, she took her down on the edge, like on the far side, and
right,
like the only point of contact that would have been her foot, but it was up in the air.
Right.
So it was and that is not
right.
a takedown.
Right. It was actually like her foot was down. They went down. As they went down, it came up, and the other one went down. Like, but they were both up when
right. They
everything
got the
was
call
out
right.
of bounds.
Yeah.
Right. The call was right, but it was way closer than I thought it was in live action.
So I mean, replay. Do you guys have anything to add? I feel like we could talk about this a long time. And
yeah, I was just gonna say, isn't it freaking crazy that we're talking about this with high school wrestling? Like, to me, it doesn't even really fully compute in my head, like, that this is a talking point. I feel like we're talking about college wrestling.
But like,
it's great. It's great.
It hasn't even been that long since we're all old enough to remember it happening in like NFL football video review. We keep calling it replay. It's video review, but whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, though, is it's not the first high school sport in Nebraska to have replay. They use replay in the state football finals. Or video review in the state football finals. So, like, yeah, Nebraska's the first in wrestling, but it's not the first sport to have it, you know? And I think somebody tried to tell me that basketball has it, and they thought volleyball did too. But
I think basketball did like 15 years ago. I remember watching like a Howells State Finals game or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but
there's also like, you know, like obviously the critique of the camera quality. You know, you either have multiple angles or you got to get something that's like super nice. And if you do that, like, you may not be able to just rely on the internet within the CenturyLink or CHL.
Right. Well, and here's the other thing that I explained to, because like one coach from my hometown was like on me, like, why do you guys only have one angle? Like, why? Like, their arena's got to be set up. Like, you know, why can't you tap into the TV cameras? I'm like, dude, there's 4 matches going on. He's like, we have. And like, he officiates football, and he's like, we have multiple angles for football. I'm like, yeah, dummy, there's one game going on. You're also playing in Memorial Stadium that is set up with DV Sport. Like, the same, like, wrestling's very unique, where there's 4 matches or 8 matches or how many ever matches going on. You know, like, wrestling is different. It's a different animal. So that's why there's only one angle right now. And that's, I mean, and it's
drones over the head. Put drones above each mat.
Yeah.
Get a bird's eye view.
One of those things like goes into the crowd and like freaking like spazzes out and just, oh my gosh. Okay, we've talked enough about this. Yeah, I think it's awesome. It's. I think everyone thinks like it's a good thing. You know, hopefully it doesn't take away too much from the wrestling. They were fast, quick, efficient calls.
Okay, so yeah. So kind of naturally segues. I mean, obviously we're innovative and trying to do things to make the tournament better. So like, is there anything else that as a takeaway, like obviously want to say hats off to Ron. You
Yeah.
know, probably
Yeah.
just be like, dude. I mean, this is
We
like
finally got fire as the wrestlers are running out of the tunnel.
I seriously. I mean, this is kind of maybe overselling it a little bit, but I always think about state wrestling as like a holiday to me. You know, like that's how good of a job that we do as a state, and really thanks to Ron Higdon for that. Like, because the way it was at Devaney, it was always great, and it was always like as a kid growing up, it was great. But I mean, I just to be able to highlight these moments for kids and make it that much more, just that much better. Like it just keeps getting better and better every year, and like I'm just curious to see what he does moving forward too with it, because he's
Like
been
there's
fantastic with the progression here.
there's no better produced state tournament in the United States of America. There cannot be. Like from the highlight videos at the beginning of each round, like the fire coming out of the tunnel, the smoke, the run-ins. Like I seen some videos from like the Iowa State tournament, and they do their grand march thing, and they're prancing these guys, like all 8 medalists at each weight, out onto the mat, and it's to some stupid tune, and I'm like,
It's
dude, like,
fine. Be nice.
the state of Nebraska has the parade of champions. Like the atmosphere on Friday night is unmatched. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
It
like
is, dude. Like, I mean, you see with
Hey-
with the availability of TikTok and Reels and stuff, and seeing other people's venues through their little short clips of things, like Nebraska has the best freaking capability to have a atmosphere that we have.
And I would say if there is something out there that's better, we're gonna figure out what it is, take it as a challenge, and find a way to improve upon that. Like that's
Yeah.
mentality.
Nobody's wrestling in a big arena like we are, like or a bigger arena. You know, like we're as big as it gets.
Iowa might be. Wells Fargo
They're
might
similar.
be bigger.
But dude, how sick? I've been waiting to say. I've been chomping at the bit to say
Yeah.
this. The new jumbotron, the new freaking jumbotron in there, the wraparound.
Oh yeah,
And
Yeah.
then like under,
Not
like if you're low enough on the floor, you can see up into the below, and they have all the bouts underneath there too. And then
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
just
that was
it
sick.
is crazy.
that was awesome.
Okay, I've also
They
been
used
chomping
to-
at the bit to say we're about 20 minutes in, and we should probably
Hold on.
talk about the-
I just want to say the rolling scores was awesome too. That took Colin a whole entire day to figure
Yeah.
out where that board was.
I was really
Up on the
mad
one
for the
side.
first day of girls wrestling. So
He's like, "Oh my gosh, there's no team scores being posted on the center thing anymore." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's because it's on the screen over on the wall."
Oh,
What?
jeez. Did it in real time,
Or
or
re-explore.
pretty much real time.
I was too locked in on the matches to realize that the team scores were down there.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys want to? Obviously, you know some of the takeaways. You touched on it. We're all a little bit under the weather. Various wrestlers were under the weather. Sickness is always a key thing every year. I guess that's probably, I mean, we haven't mentioned it in the notes here. So just wanted to say, like, as we go through some of these things and maybe some performances that people maybe feel slighted, like, yes, we know that people were sick. There's always things going on that cause people to have or be under the weather in February. So with that said, let's go. As Colin starts coughing,
He got the
let's
muted
go.
a little too late. Yeah, I
Let's
have my
go.
daughter
try
down
it.
here. Oh my gosh, here we go.
Let's go. Most impressive team performance for the girls, Sean, in terms of A and B girls.
Sure. Let's look at A first. So you have to kind of tip your cap to the champions first. So Omaha West Side came into the tournament as the favorites. They left as the champions. So congratulations. They wrestled really well to do that. But maybe more, shouldn't maybe say more impressive, but equally or maybe a little bit more impressive is the way Kearney really chased them down. I mean, they were within a match of taking that thing away from West Side. And coming in, I thought they were probably the second best team, but I thought the gap was a little bit wider. And it wasn't that West Side fell back to Kearney. It's like Kearney went out and competed really, really well. So that really stood out to me. I think Norfolk wrestled great. They had 4 girls finish third and push themselves way back up there. Lincoln East had a heck of a tournament. They didn't finish, as high in the team standings, but they came out with a couple of finalists. They had a freshman unranked girl make the semi. So super impressed with the way they competed this week as well. Those are just a few.
Kearney really was. I mean, obviously the favorite on that squad was Carson McBride, right? And then Stella Harbles, Sloan Abbey, like I'm not sure where you had them in your projections to make. Were they projected to make finals? But they obviously then won the dang thing, so.
I did not have either of them projected in the finals. I think I had Harbles losing to Andy Gibson in the semis, and she came out and got that win. And then Abby, I think, oh God, who did she beat? Oh, she didn't just beat. She kind of took it to Daisy Cleveland, which was an impressive win. So I think I actually had Jaden Jones coming out of that quarterfinal, and she didn't survive the first round. So kind of get Abby through that quarter, and then she looked tough in the semis, and then, man, great finals performance for her.
Yeah. All right, Class B, Sean.
Yeah, sure. So Class B was pretty crazy. Those teams eat each other up quite a bit. Adams Central was a team champion. Thought they would probably have a little bit more of a lead going into the final day and probably a little bit more of a gap in the final standings than they did. I would not say they had their best day. I don't think they would say they had their best day either. What they did get, though, was a complete performance. They qualified 11 girls, which in itself is incredible, but every single one of them won a match at state, which is awesome. Awesome for them. And they needed every point they could get, and they got it. So that part was impressive. They didn't hit all the goals they wanted to. They still came away with a win. Right behind them, though, Lakeview really stepped up and had a great tournament to finish runner-up. And I think it was 2 points separated second through fourth. So you had Lakeview and Battle Creek and UTAN all right in there competing for that second trophy and honestly competing for the championship because they were only 6 or 7 back from Adams Central and everything was said and done. But really impressed with the way Lakeview wrestled and UTAN as well. They've always had great kind of heavy hitters, but they did everything they needed to put themselves in position. So really good performances from those teams at the top, at least.
I've got to say, because I know that we talked about it and then you get kind of overshadowed with the boys, and you had asked me to give you this note and you didn't say it. But speaking on Adams Central with the unfortunate event and warm-ups that were, Caden Sipp might have, maybe we thought she had hurt her elbow severely. Comes back.
She maybe did.
She did.
I mean, yes, she did. And she comes back, wrestles through it, braced it up. I mean, I think they went and got x-rays, didn't they?
She came back and dominated in the semifinals, which if she wasn't able to do that, they lose.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like her toughness and her willingness to go despite having an injured elbow brings that title to Adams Central, because like otherwise that's how narrow the gap was with them winning. Like they needed that 11 points or 13 points if she won by pin. I can't remember what it was, but you know what I mean? So hats off to her and her toughness, because that's something that really stood out a little bit regarding the girls' side of things, because you never know like how tough they are, if it's still in its infancy.
Oh, you'll learn fast.
Well, no, I'm saying like it's fantastic. Like I was super impressed. Like I would not have expected her to come back and wrestle through that, and she did. So like that just tells me that the level of toughness is there more than I thought. So
yeah, for sure. That was cool. What about you guys? Boys, huh?
Colin, you want to start with Class D, most impressive team performance?
I mean, Plainview, I had them ranked number 1 the second half of the year, largely in due part to Bo Kraus making it down to 106, and then he goes down to state and goes 1-2, and Plainview had a really kind of rough quarterfinal round on Thursday night, and I kind of almost essentially a little bit wrote them off. I didn't completely write them off because they still had 2 guys that I thought would make the finals. But I wasn't sure if that would be enough to run with the horses of Burwell and what I thought Aquinas could do. But they proved that the backside of the tournament matters, and they had guys come back and get 3rd and 4th place medals, and they win the state tournament without a state champion.
Yeah, and similarly, isn't it ironic that the two, like we were talking about this prior to the state tournament, the two closest team races were going to be Class C and Class D, and Class C did the same thing that you're just talking about. Battle Creek was ranked number 1 all year, till late in the year when Pierce kind of got him at the state duels and kind of started flexing a little bit. And then Battle Creek's depth really wrestled through the backside well, didn't have a state champion, ultimately win the tournament, scoring 105.5 points or whatever, really kind of on the piggyback of Hunter Cruz making the finals. Personally, I just thought Battle Creek, and from a Class C perspective, they wrestled different in Omaha than they did in Kearney 2 weeks prior. Like, I just thought it was a different attitude. It was a different attitude.
You call just like Adams Central, you qualify the most kids in your division, and you're afforded a couple here's and there's where things go wrong. And there's some of those teams that can Class D. Colin, you okay over there? You can hear your mic.
No, I'm good.
Like in Class D, the same thing. Maybe there weren't enough, or like Aquinas and Burwell beat each other up a little bit. Burwell maybe left a kid who had maybe both had state medal caliber guys that didn't even go.
Right.
So district, the setup at districts, especially in those close team races, is paramount to the success.
Yeah, I mean, strength of the district.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a fantastic job, and Cody Wentz, he talked about how somebody or up and down their lineup, they had a bonus point win or multiple wins out of everybody. Like, they all scored 3 points or more. So, you get a pin on the backside, that's 3 points, so like, hats off to them. That was good. So, Drew, Class B, you want to hit A too with Cody's absence?
Yeah. Speaking of Cody, he was texting earlier. We don't know. Missed it, Cody. He left a couple notes in here, but obviously Prep did their thing. We sort of knew they would. 11 medalists, 10 finalists, and they went 4 for 10 in the finals. They had a lot of I don't know how many number 1 ranked guys they had, but I think their number 1 ranked guys did win. Like, I don't know that they had any upsets against them necessarily. There were a few that were going to be close. They didn't come out on the right side, but most of those guys are back next year. So, I mean, it's not really going to stop.
50 might have been Ankerson might have been ranked number 1.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. Yep. Ackerson had beaten Danzy in ultimate tiebreaker in the duel.
Yeah.
At home. That weight, and we'll get there, but that weight alone is awesome. So let's see here. So the real maybe unexpected thing, I guess, or the things that you want to look at in Class A that were exciting was Lincoln East quarterfinal round. They had 9 make the semis, which is some of those guys were expected, but some of them weren't necessarily, and they just got rolling hot. And McCurdy and Rutledge and Chewy and Licking, those guys are flying off the walls, and it was kind of cool to see them vibing a little bit. So that I think that probably the only. So I'm also looking outside of Lincoln East. They just had a wonderful tournament, and congrats to them on getting runner-up, because in Class A it was always kind of, there's Creighton Prep, and then there's Lincoln East, Kearney, Grand Island, Millard South, and
Columbus.
Yep. And then in 7th place was North Platte, which North Platte, they had, pretty much everybody who had a chance to medal did, and finished about as high as you possibly could have expected them to finish. Hannibal got second to Ornelas. Wilson got second at 144. Keegan Klaus, who'd been hurt a lot of the season, gets third. Beat some really good guys to get third. Reese Perry got third, and Will Rathje got third. So, those guys maxed themselves out big time to get 7th. So I would say Lincoln East and North Platte would be the 2 in Class A. For Class B, I'm not gonna lie, and you guys will probably hear this a lot. Colin, you should keep that thing up a little bit, bro. I can tell you're struggling.
I told him. I texted him. Yeah.
So Class B, this is gonna get a little bit monotonous and boring. We sort of had Class B pegged in a sense, where I think in the top 13 teams out of the top 10 we predicted in Class B, plus the 3 out of the 4 contenders were in the top 13. Colin, we can hear that every time you do it. Also,
Sorry.
Just
so Class B was literally mostly pretty chalky. But I'll give some credit to Syracuse. They got 4th. I mean, our top 3 teams were the top 3 teams all year, basically from a state tournament standpoint. Omaha Skutt got it done. They looked amazing. They had the guys that weren't even supposed to winning and stuff, and they did amazing. Bennington did great, got 2nd like they were expected to. Beatrice got 3rd. So we're gonna give Syracuse a shout out, and then I'm gonna give Hastings a shout out too. They were a team that was maybe not on the radar at the beginning of the season, but by the time the state tournament came around, I think we had them projected 7th, and they got 6th. So yeah, I mean, a good event, and I also Coach Locks. I think he's done at Hastings, so see you, Coach Locks. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Yeah, Sean, did you talk about the exceeding expectations through Lincoln East? And I mean, I think you kind of said that with the girls somewhat.
I hit on a couple of them. There's some other teams that stood out.
Okay, go for it.
And one that I missed on one of the great performances was Lexington. And Drew, your last note there kind of reminded me of that as well. We knew Lexington was probably primed for a pretty good state meet in Class A girls after phenomenal districts. And they came out and they wrestled really good. They finished in 4th. And what better way to go out for Coach Banderas than to coach his last wrestler in the last match of the tournament, coach her to state championship in one of the most entertaining matches, bubbly personality between both the girls. It was fun to watch the match. It was fun to watch after the match. And then
she hit the splits.
There was a big embrace between the girls. I mean, just a lot of fun and love kind of floating around. But for Coach Banderas to build a program like he has at Lexington, to have the tournament they had, and then to go out that way, it's kind of a cool moment. So it's really happy to see that for him. A couple other teams, I guess, that exceed expectations. And Scotts Bluff kind of stood out to me. You never know for sure what's going to look like when you come from out west. You get a lot of the same people all year round, and they've got some historical experience. That Jasmine Garcia, who was a state champion for them, was a runner-up last year. She beat Jay Bray last year. And you wonder, like, this is a Fargo finalist. Can she do it again? Well, she did it again, right? And a good match. So I thought they wrestled well because she wasn't the only medalist they had. They put another girl, Marcella Cullen, on the podium and looked really good. In Class B, another team that kind of, I don't know if exceeded maybe our expectations. I know certainly not their expectations, but Pierce really had a good tournament. They were right there in the top 5. I thought Southwest wrestled really good too. Missing kind of their leader, their star wrestler, honestly. They had a state champion at heavyweight. Their 115-pounder wrestled pretty good, picked up some big wins. But those are some of the teams, again, that kind of stood out as going a little bit above and beyond. So
yeah, kind of dropping back into the boys Class C, kind of on the same mindset as Coach Locks and Art Banderas. David City, dude. Those guys wrestled so well for coach team, finished half a point away from a top 3 finish, so you kind of finally got to start to see how good of a team that they were. All season long, you just kind of felt like you weren't really sure what they really were. None of their performances really came together. Didn't really mesh at the same tournaments, and they did this without Case Schindler and Britton Valentine too. That's what's crazy. Jesse Divis makes the finals in a crazy match, which if we're gonna go over freaking matches that are nutso, I'll save the story for that one. But Manny Venegas gets into the top 4 after beating Luke Farman to do so, who got pinned by in the district final in under 40 seconds, so adjusting that approach to how he wrestles him. Darren Vadichka finds a medal, and Hayden Schmidt doing Hayden Schmidt things, wins the title again, so David City being right there to basically in a tie. I mean, a half a point behind Cedar Catholic for third was not necessarily on my radar, but they wrestled tough for Tanner this last weekend. So how about Class D?
Yeah, I thought like Amherst and Elm Creek were two teams in Class D that kind of stood out to me. I thought they wrestled about the best that they could, in kind of exceeding expectations. Like both of them, Elm Creek finished fourth, like a half a point behind Shelby Rising City and Aquinas for third, and then Amherst was sixth, because of that tie for third. Amherst took 5 guys down, medaled 4 of them, had 2 finalists and 2 fifth-place medalists. And I mean, honestly, Elm Creek had 2 state champions, which going in, I didn't have either one. I had them both projected to make the finals. And they were both matches in the finals that I thought maybe they could win, but I wasn't sure that they would. And then Keston Beavers gets 6th for Elm Creek, and Alex Meyer makes his first trip to the state tournament for Elm Creek and gets a medal as well. So I thought they both wrestled really well, and it's kind of indicative of their schedules. They both wrestled really tough schedules throughout the year, and it prepared them for the state tournament.
Fantastic. So staying on the, standout performances, let's go straight into like some of the standout or dominant championship performances. We're going to go right back to Sean. We'll let you start off with the girls.
Dominant champs, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Class A. There's a couple girls that are on track to win 4 state titles, and both of them looked outstanding in this tournament. Mia Anderson at 110 had 3, I think, first period pins and a tech fall. She got taken down a couple times by 2 really good wrestlers in Ella Casey and Jamia Johnson, but she's so good in all positions. She battles her way back and ultimately gets the pin, like 30 seconds later. So,
oh my gosh, dude, hold on one second. Just because the interview with her when she was like, I think it was her that said something like, I knew I would eventually end up pinning her or something like that. Like, was when I'm on top, like I know that I just get the job done. I just thought that was such a confident statement, knowing what you are. That's fantastic. So
yeah, man, illustrates the importance of confidence. So she looked awesome again, stays on track. So she'll be a junior next year with 2 titles under her belt, looking to add a 3rd. And then next year we'll get another shot at our first 4-time female state champion with Kaylin Harrell. She was, as advertised, 4 pins on her way to another championship. I think she finished 60-0 this year, which is mind-blowing, right? That's pretty crazy. So she's a ton of fun to watch, and a pretty heavy favorite to win her 4th next year. So we'll be watching and cheering her on to do that. Sophia Hogemeyer, 135, had 3 first period pins and a tag, kind of the same as Mia Anderson. She's a 2-timer now. So she'll be looking for her 3rd title next year as a senior. And then ending a good career was Adeline Grazer of Omaha West Side. Pinned her way through the state tournament, won her 2nd state title, and just completely looked the part all weekend long. And then in Class B, sorry, you good? We good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. Class B, Abby Nagley at 110. So she had a big tournament. She picked up 2 techs, 2 pins, big win over a defending champion, tech fall in the finals. In the process, picked up I got to get the numbers accurate. I reached out for them. I haven't heard back yet, but I think her season takedown record is somewhere in the 270s or 280s. I might be off on that. But her career takedown record is over 650. So that's
close one in the quarters though.
For a while, right? And shit up the fall.
I mean, it's still close. That was a good match.
Yeah, it was. It was a good match. I mean, you're wrestling a really good opponent, right?
Yeah.
But you get the job done. So I thought she looked really good. Jordan Campbell.
It was overtime.
It was overtime.
Anyway, sorry. No, that was just a great match. Sorry. Keep going. My bad.
Jordan Campbell pinned her way through. Haley Rusher pinned her way through. Maggie Feeney pinned her way through, but she also had a medical forfeit. Those are some of the ones that really stood out in Class B as kind of being dominant. And, you never really walk your way through a tournament, but it takes a pretty special wrestler to go through with that kind of relative ease.
Sure. Colin, you want to do Class D?
Yeah, I mean, you can't look at dominant performances and not look at what Brody Jensen did. He had 2 techs and 2 pins, and one of those techs happened in the state finals against a 2-time state champion. So he really showed that he is pound for pound best guy in Class D this week. And then the other kind of dominant performance, and I really thought that he would dominate this weight class until like the last 3 weeks of the season, was William Corney from Central Valley. Won the 165-pound weight class. He had 2 pins, a tech, and then a major in the state finals. So shout out to those 2 guys.
Okay, Drew, Class A, Class B.
All right, Class A. Honestly, little Crawford had a heck of a tournament. He bonused his way through, including a 13-1 win in the finals. The quarterfinals, like he was up 8-0 in the third period and got a pin. Like, so it wasn't like totally dominating, but it's like I feel like with him it was like confidence built with each match, and by the time the finals came and the lights were on, it was like he was not losing, because he beat the guy we had number 1 basically all year in Class A, and Peterson from Grand Island, who's a great wrestler. So that was kind of like maybe unexpected impressive, but maybe we can talk about that a little bit later too. But Cruiser Dominguez is, as far as wrestling Class A opponents and Nebraskans, is as dominant as they get. Basically, in 2 years of high school wrestling, his closest match against a Nebraskan is 14 points. And that was at the state duels a few weeks ago. Wrestled that same guy, teched him in the state semis, teched the state finals. I mean, it just doesn't really get much more imposing your will-esque style than anybody. Yeah. Kyrie Calloway at 13. I mean, this is probably going to get kind of like long-winded here, so I'm going to he had 3 pins and a tech. Maybe, there's Zion had a close match in the finals, which maybe was a little bit surprising because he did pin Hamburg the week before, but it was close when he pinned him. Mink looked phenomenal at 38, beat a very good Miles Sanchez in the finals. And then Mason Peterson. I mean, what can you say about the kid? He's phenomenal, because I think, going to the Huskers, but he beat Caleb Griffith, who he beat, I think, by decision. It was either 7 or 8 points. He was either like a low-end major or a high-end decision the first time they wrestled at the duel at Creighton Prep, but this time it was 20-5. And like Griffith is probably going to be D1 good by the time he's done with college. So the dominance there was impressive. Jason Delano was really impressive. And then Preston Wagner, I think he bonused his way through also. So there you go, Class A. Class B, yeah, man, this is another thing that we can parlay into other topics, but I was really, really, really impressed with Boyer from Nebraska City at 113. That was maybe selling him a little bit short throughout the season. So I think he teched or pinned everybody going through the event. I mean, like you got Riley Johnson.
Yeah.
Dominated. I mean, he's kind of like in that Cruiser Dominguez conversation, like beating a guy like Merrick Johnson from Beatrice in the finals in the manner he did. Like the first time Merrick Johnson got the first takedown, and it was tied after the first period, and like it was like a scrap for a little while until Riley took over and started doing the takedown and cut thing, and got some near fall right at the end to tech him. This time it wasn't like that. This time it was just pretty much a display.
Right.
And I mean, you got to give him a ton of credit. Wonderful wrestler, and kind of stinks he's not going to Nebraska. But honestly, and then Tyler Harrell had a pin in the finals. He had a close match in the quarters. So like some of those guys, like Ziola had a close one in the quarters, and I mean those guys are dominant wrestlers. But as far as state tournament goes, I mean it was Boyer and Riley Johnson for sure. Dalen Adams kind of, pinned and teched his way through, but he had to make a comeback in the finals to make that happen at 285.
Yeah, he had to fight off his back in the finals. Yeah. He was on his back early. So yeah. Class C, I basically have 2 guys that were really probably a head and shoulders above the rest in terms of dominant. Brendan Bowling, obviously, of Pierce at 157. He teched his way through, like, kind of did that all season long to everybody at 157. Aside from when Easton Hochstein was up there at 57, but and then Jared Doxey of Winnebago, 2 techs as a heavyweight and 2 first period pins, including a pin in the finals, over Centura's Colton Simmons. And then I thought about like just throwing in Alex Meineke. He had a bunch of majors. He was never really ever in a match where he was in trouble in terms of a result. Like, you knew he was going to be cruising to a win. It almost just felt like, how excited was he going to be? Because he almost looked bored most of the time that I saw him wrestle this year, because he's that much better than, basically the rest of the field at this point in time. So those are my 3 in Class C. And I'm going to segue right into basically go right into a surprising champ. Like, as every year, there's always somebody that kind of surprises, I'm going straight to Cash Stanek of North Bend. Got to tell you, hats off to you, dude, because in the projection, I did not have you meddling, and boy, did you make me look like a fool.
Oh no.
So 132 was deep all year. It was one of those things that we did rankings throughout 132. It felt like there was 8 guys that could win it. We just didn't know exactly, what order that would be. And obviously Stanek was on point, and he wrestled super well this week. So yeah. Colin, I know you have a good one for Class
one could
D.
say he cashed in on his opportunity.
Oh,
I'm here the rest of the day, at night or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways,
yes.
yeah. Colin.
Drew takes Venmo.
My most surprising champ was probably Jason Krause of Mullen, but I'm also not surprised because I had no idea who was going to win 157. So he was one of the guys that I kind of had a small star beside that I thought could win it, and he got a takedown with 11 seconds left in the third period to send the match to overtime, and then ended up getting the right out in the ultimate tiebreaker to win. So hats off to
That was a wild
Jason
match.
Krause. Yeah.
Absolutely wild, especially in overtime, because Krause was in on potential takedown 3 times in OT.
Yeah. Well, and at one time, I was
Krause,
thinking
Taney was.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I was thinking to myself, sitting there watching that match, I'm like, man, Burwell needs to be pushing the pace here, because they needed a major or a tech to take the lead in Class D there, and they're up 4-1 going into the third period. I'm like, let's go, get on this kid, go get a major, put the team on your back, and I mean, Colton Taney he way out wrestled his expectations. I didn't even have him ranked the second half of the year, and then he goes on a little mini tear and makes the state finals. So hats off to him too. But yeah.
Right on. Sean, do you want to hit your 2 girls classes? Do you want to stay, or do you want to go, Drew, with yours first, and then let's keep it seamless?
I can go. I'll go. I don't. So here's what's crazy, and we talked about this earlier. There weren't really any surprising necessarily champions in Class B. Everybody that won it was within the top 3. So on that note, I'll probably say Carson Hanshaw, who was a freshman, who he had the big wins. He had already beaten number 1. So it's not even necessarily surprising that he won it per se, but he did get upset at districts, lost 9-4 to, a good wrestler, but that person ended up getting 6th, then Grebe at Gretna. And so it's there were some results that flipped a little bit, or matches that became closer for him later in the season. So it's is he cutting too much weight? What's going on? He, any doubt he sort of dispelled. He got an exciting win in the quarters and parlayed that into a pretty solid victory in the finals over Arata from Scott. 1-3, 3-0, 3-0, I think. Just put on a great ride in the third period to get it done. It was 1-0. I mean, you think the guy's going to get out, and he did not allow that to happen. And then I mentioned this earlier, Noah Boyer from Nebraska City. I guess you'd say like the sights were sort of set on DeVetter and Brown in the semis, with the winner of that match winning the following one in the finals. But then I did sort of look again at Boyer's results throughout the season, and then it became pretty apparent that perhaps we were selling him a little short, because he lost a hand shot up at 120 handily, and maybe that factored in a little bit. But he had a close match with Townsley from Millard West and Engel from Lincoln East, who are very good in Class A. And I think that probably should have been an indicator that being at 113 instead of 120 was the right decision for him. And the fact that, he came down there later in the season, he's probably pretty big. He was probably weighing a little bit more than his opponent there in the state finals too. You always got to think about that a little bit. So yeah, those would be the two for me.
Not another Beatrice kid that I know probably was surprising.
Oh well, yeah, Carlin. I have that. This is the best finals match in we're going to talk about next.
Drew, what are you wearing under that shirt?
Man, okay. After this, I'll go change. I'm not changing. It's there. So, I mean, gosh, I have a little note like parlay into Carlin, and so I should have talked more about Class A first than B. But Carlin avenging two previous losses. The first one he lost 17-3, and the second one was like 17-9. So I mean, there was a gap shortage, and it's really hard to beat somebody 3 times. That match was crazy.
But he was winning that match like 13-7.
Well, yeah, the final score was 16-14. He kind of came out of a cannon.
That match was 10-1, in large in part because the new scoring, which we were going to talk about here in a little bit, like Carlin got a chin whip on the edge of the mat for 7. He got the first takedown. Olsen gets out. Then Carlin got a chin whip or neck wrench right on the edge of the mat for 7. And makes it 10-1, and then Olsen just starts reeling.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the interview, Carlin was like, I was just going to let it fly. Sometimes it's your day, right? If they wrestled 20 times, who wins that match? 19 of them? Maybe Olsen, but the fact that Carlin made it happen is like amazing. And probably just based off the previous results, he probably takes the cake.
The state finals are kind of a kryptonite to Dom Olsen right now. He's a sophomore and lost 2 times in the finals to guys he's beat.
Yeah. I'm still really high on Olsen. I think he's one of the best wrestlers in the state. He beat Brody Jensen 7-3, got the only 2 takedowns. So it's like,
right.
How good he is. Right. And he's going to be very good. I bet I could see him being D1. But yeah, so that was like, it was kind of hard to like talk about Carlin without talking about the best match of the weekend in my mind in Class B. But there you go, Sean.
Girls went largely chalk, but between both classes, there wasn't a ton of huge surprises. I think the biggest one in Class A is probably Sloan Abbey coming out at 125 and getting the win. That bracket got a little bit shooken up when Kalia Evans beat Evelyn Beecher, knocked her out of the championship contention. Abby came out, had obviously a great whole tournament, but looked really, really great in the finals. Kenley Harris beating Carson McBride is a bit of a surprise, but that's another place where they'd wrestled 3 times and that gap got smaller and smaller and smaller. So you knew it was going to be a tight match. I think in the manner that it happened, first period headlock to her back, game over. That shocked me a little bit. But I also have seen Harris wrestle. I know that that's in her back pocket. So she took advantage of it, made it happen. And so a little bit of
our number 1 freshman of the
yeah, she's our number 1 freshman for a reason. It's Kenley Harris. Yeah. I mean, she can do those things, and she's not going to win every single match. No, nobody is, but she looked pretty damn good this year. The other one in Class A that was a little bit of a surprise, but at this point I need to just shut up and start making her the favorite is Jasmine Garcia. I thought last year beating Bray was a little bit of a surprise, and I didn't know that it would happen again. And it's not like she came out and dominated the match. She came from behind, put her on her back, and pinned her, but she's capable.
She had an awesome celebration too. Like she was just so stoked.
Pure
It was
joy,
awesome.
right?
Yeah, that
It's
was
not
fun to
like
watch.
it's not like a planned celebration or anything like that. It was just all the real raw emotions came out. That was fun to watch. Class B had a couple. I think the biggest surprise in Class B was at 235. Evelyn Bryan Aldridge gets upset earlier in the tournament, which it's number 1 versus number 2, but it still felt like a pretty massive upset when she lost to Brooklyn Snyder. Then Madeline Tryon makes it to the finals and gets a fall there to win for Southwest. So that was she's not way down the totem pole. I think she was ranked 3rd coming in, so she's right in the thick of things. But that was a big win for her. 115. Elizabeth Menke getting the win. I had her picked 5th in that bracket, I think, going in. So a little bit of a surprise, but we've talked about that a bunch this year where you basically rank them 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and see what the hell happens when they wrestle, because it's just a ton of back and forth. And this past week, she was the one to beat, and she came out. She wrestled great. Kind of was dominant in the finals before that match got stopped a little bit early due to an injury situation. But she was handily in control. She looked really, really good, and a couple of years left to watch her as well. Then one more shout out I have is Isabel Keeler at 170. There's at least 3, probably 4 really, really good girls in that bracket that had been there all year, and then for her to come out. Make a little bit of a comeback in the finals match to get the fall over a very talented Emma Finney was impressive. So those are my big ones for girls.
Okay, best finals match. Sean,
You want me to keep rolling?
we'll just stay with you.
Hold on, Kale. We didn't talk about the Class A guys of the most surprising champions, which Cody had as Colton Tucker of Lincoln East and Terrence Crawford, and then Brady Dans from.
I don't think
Millard
Colton
South.
Tucker was a surprise necessarily. I mean, neither was Danzig, because that was like
Right.
Cody.
Right.
Well, some of those
But
brackets.
Class A was kind of
Nice.
honestly a little similar to Class B in a sense that like
Right.
things did. I mean, the guys like 150 in Class A, like if you would have told me Jason Sterling would win, like I wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
Well,
Well,
like, 'cause he's really
I think
good.
maybe
So
the
is
Colton
Ackerson,
Tucker. I think the Colton Tucker thing might be because he beat Ryan Bailey in the quarters.
He beat him last time they wrestled.
Right. I know.
State duels. But no, I mean, yeah, I guess if you look through Class A, there's not a lot of people that you consider a huge surprise. So,
Right.
Colton Tucker would maybe be among them. I think he'd lost to the Millard South kid at least once. Wash, and that was an excellent match.
Good
So,
match,
if we're gonna segue into excellent matches and finals, like that's one of them. That might be the one.
He does
Class
not
A,
have that on his list for that, but we don't. Let's go back to girls for Sean to talk AB girls real quick on that.
Yeah, I'll go quick through these. Class A, I think my 2 favorite finals were the first 2. 100, we had Purdue and Vanderpool in a rematch. Vanderpool won the first one, but 0-0 in the 3rd period. Purdue gets a takedown with about a minute left, rides and rides and rides till there's about 15 seconds. Vanderpool gets out and is just coming at her like crazy, and she was able to hold her off at the end and avenge an earlier loss. So it was, obviously a big win for her, but a really fun finals match to watch. And then the one right after that between Lauren Freehoff of Seward and Madeline Bonet of South Sioux City was probably maybe even a little bit better, is entertaining. So in the second period, it was 0-0 after the first. The second period, Freehoff chooses down and Bonet turns her for 2. So she's leading going into the 3rd period. In that second period, though, she gets 1 for stalling. 3rd period, she takes top. She's riding like crazy. Gets dinged.
I was gonna say Freehoff got ridden out for like 2.5 minutes.
Almost the duration of the match. Where she's on bottom.
Yeah.
Bonet gets hit again for stalling, so now it's 2-1. And then 5-10 seconds after that, there's like 10-12 seconds left on the clock. Freehoff gets a reversal, takes the lead, is able to hold on, ride her out. Bonet's on her feet, and Freehoff basically picks her up and holds her a couple inches off the mat, as time is expiring to win that one. But it's 3-2, a lot of fun. 2 obviously excellent wrestlers, both 2-time state champs. Both really cool kids. So, hate to see someone lose a match like that, but it was a fun one to, as a fan, to watch. And then Class B, Rylan Hansen getting a win was a little bit of a surprise to me. I thought just watching Grace Trukey's results and a couple of her matches throughout early in the year, she would be tough to beat. But it's Rylan Hansen. I mean, she went out, she beat Jordan Campbell. She's kind of a giant killer. It's her last match. She had to fight through some injury through the tournament. So to see her get a win at that 130-pound weight class was a fun match for me. And then we kind of talked a little bit ago about 170 between Isabel Keeler and Emma Finnessy. It's kind of a little bit back and forth, but it felt like Finnessy was maybe in control. And then the script flips. Keeler gets her on her back, gets the fall, and gives Coach Painter a state champion for Pierce. So those are some of the most exciting ones.
Dude.
Yeah.
The clip of Painter, dude, celebrating in that we got was the
him and
best.
then Schaff. They kind of stole the show from the coaches' reactions in the finals.
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's freaking funny. That was awesome. Boys, you want to talk? Or I can go into C right away, and then we can go to D and A and whatever. But
What are we on right now?
best state championship match or impressive, whatever.
I can. I've been talking about it already. So I can just finish up because I've sort of my conversations have parlayed into it. The Carlin and Olsen match was epic. Like the lead that Carlin built and the comeback that Olsen made to have I think they were on their feet at the end, but Beatrice did get the job done because I love them, and it was probably because they had my support. And then Nico Rotella and Reese Knight went into overtime, and Rotella got a takedown, and then Suma and Adams.
That was a good one. Yeah,
it was a great match. Yeah, Suma and Adams. The end result was a pin, but at 285. But Suma had Adams on his back on the edge, and then Adams fights off, and then they kind of went back and forth in a couple of scrambles, and then Adams got it done. So those were phenomenal exchanges in Class B.
What's even crazier in that Carlin Olsen match is Olsen ended up losing 16-14 and gave up 3 points on cautions in the third period.
Oh, I didn't know that.
What?
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Gave up 3
Carlin
points
did?
on.
No,
Olsen gave
Olsen.
up 3 points on cautions in the third period.
wouldn't it be 4?
I think it was 3.
Okay, so it was 10. Yeah, it was 10-1.
One,
No,
one,
'cause-
and
'cause-
two, right?
No, guys. Cautions are not in the penalty. There, it's 1-1-1-1-1.
Yeah.
Tell you idiot.
Kale, you dumbass.
Yeah. So okay. So anyways,
I'll shoulder that for Sean.
Olsen
Sean got me on
Olsen
that.
scored
Yeah.
13 points in the third period. He was down 10-1 in
Right.
the third period.
Yeah.
And Carlin was on top, and that's his best position. But Olsen got out and then went, but it didn't end up mattering. But that's crazy. I was trying to watch, but for those of you who don't know, we don't really get to watch that much,
No.
which is sad in a way. I haven't had a chance to even go back and watch the finals yet. The last thing I really want to do is wrestling in a lot of ways right now. I think we all feel that way as we're coughing and trying to breathe through this thing.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
You got Class A. You have Class A. Hold on.
Okay. Man, Cody.
Well, you kind of hit the Colton Tucker match. I thought Creighton Lassen's match was pretty darn good too.
Well, Creighton Lassen and Cole Caniglia was one of the most highly anticipated matches. Of
Right.
The week. So and then Danzy and Ackerson, you knew that the first match they wrestled was nothing. They didn't there were great exchanges, but there was no scoring. It was escapes and overtime, and then escapes and overtime. So it was nothing. And then this match there were, action and points, and it was I don't know. I was kind of expecting more of the same. So that was a pretty good one. And Danz has a cool story in that he tore his ACL right before, I think he tore his whole knee, right before districts, kind of limped his way to state, and then lost to Dortch in the quarters and couldn't continue. So last year, being a state champion threat to not getting a medal and then having to basically rebuild your knee and come back and all that surgery, all the things, is really, really a cool story in Class A too. I thought Ornelas, he had to dig deep in that match to win at 26. He gave up the first takedown. I can't think of very many wrestlers who've ever taken him down for Nebraska. Have there been any? I don't. Maybe Unley when they wrestled like a couple years ago. I don't know. But yeah, I mean Hamburg. And I've talked about all this, so I'm setting myself up for failure here. There were great matches. There you go in Class A. They were really cool ones.
Class C, Grady Welke, Cole Vorderstrass at 215 was phenomenal for an upper weight match. Welke's pace tested Vorderstrass all match long, and I mean Vorderstrass clearly he's a giant dude. Like he looks bigger than he descended from like 240 or 250 this year, and so like his frame is humongous and he's hard to score on, and obviously I was 1-1 going into overtime, I believe, because the final score was 4-1 if I remember right. But like it just came down to like Welke's pace. Can he keep the pace up to fatigue Vorderstrass out? And eventually that ultimately won the match. And hats off to Vorderstrass because he did not concede position many times at all. Like even when he was dog tired, like, I mean, you could see it like in the restarts, just like, oh my gosh, and then here, boom, Welke's faking and go misdirection and like trying to create angles and just pressure. And like, it was really fun to watch, obviously, but that's easily my favorite finals match because there's a lot of major decisions in Class C this year in the finals. So there wasn't a ton of close ones. So
I forgot one in Class A. It was Cam Green at 144. He got popped for 5, got taken down for 3 and 2 near fall against Kirk Wilson, who was a tremendous underdog. And Wilson's pretty stingy, and I mean Green ended up coming back and winning that one 9-8. So that was a good one.
In Class D, I actually thought the Class D finals were, as far as competitive wise, probably the best overall set of finals. There was a lot of really good matches, but I thought the first 2 matches right out of the gates in Class D between Camden Robinson and Jaden Schomer. Schomer came out, got the first takedown, was leading the match 3-1, I think, with about 45 seconds left. And Robinson got out, got an escape, gets a takedown. Schomer gets right back out, and Robinson takes him down to his back to make it 12-4. And you've seen the highlight video of Coach Schaff freaking out. Like, that was an awesome celebration because that was right in front of me. And then the other match was Wyatt Forney and Tristan Davis. Davis did the exact same thing, comes out, gets the first takedown, and then Forney just came storming back. And the reason why those 2 matches really stick out to me is because both Robinson and Forney were sitting on leads that a takedown basically essentially tied it or won it for the other guy with 15 seconds left. And instead of running or playing defense or whatever, they both went and got takedowns to secure the state title. So that was shout out to those guys for wrestling hard till the end and going and getting the takedown that mattered.
It's an excellent point. Shoot to win.
The best offense or best defense is a good offense.
Dude, the Schomer and Robinson match was crazy. And like I know I talked about Boyer from Nebraska City earlier coming down from 120, and I think to myself a little bit like Robinson had wrestled 13 a lot of the year, so he was probably and Schomer was at 6 the whole time. And so to me it's like, well, like, is Robinson wrestling, he's a big guy, he's big, probably a bigger kid, and so those things matter. You weigh in and you get your nutrients in you, and maybe you had 7 or 8 pounds on Schomer by the time they wrestled. Who knows? That was such a cool match. Like
two things here, because this point is going to kind of segue into my next point. Like at some point you got to kind of look at like Schomer's body of work this year. Like he beat his teammate in the finals at 7 tournaments.
Yeah, but his teammate, that's what you're doing.
His teammate medaled, right? And so, but my first point that I do have to point out here is in one of his interviews with one of the TV networks, Camden Robinson I was kind of standing right there, and he kind of went at me like, yeah, like they slept on me all year long. They had me ranked number 2, blah 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 blah. But I did tell Kale on Monday night that I thought Robinson could beat Schomer.
That I never
that.
would. I mean, I'll be honest, man. I used to coach at Elm Creek, and I root for those guys, and but I wouldn't have seen that coming. Robinson, who was probably on his way down to 106 at the time, he didn't look that. I mean, like, he did not have his best matches at the Manstead. Like, I watched some of those on the streams, and I mean, let's be real here. Like, I mean, didn't give you the utmost confidence that he's going to beat a guy who's had national success at the middle school level like Schomer did. But look, I mean, now, okay, we see you, dude. Like, you proved us wrong. That's awesome.
Right, and yeah, so. But that segues into what we're going to talk about next is like the best non-finals matches. And one of the matches that was great on Thursday evening in Class D was Camden Robinson and Camden DeWispler from Aquinas Catholic, the teammate of Jaden Schomer. And looking back on it, like, Robinson really didn't do anything, and he kind of just hung around in that match, and DeWispler was in on his legs the whole time. I think there was some gamesmanship there by Elm Creek. I think
we talked about that exact point leading up to like the idea that like how much does Aquinas get an advantage by having to wrestle somebody in a semifinal, so that and then Schomer has the game plan,
right.
Like, now did Elm Creek do the opposite of that and try to just like coast?
There's no way you slow roll a match.
I know. It's crazy. It's so crazy to think that.
But to have a different plan of attack against a different wrestler, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I just
that'd be a crazy long game play there.
Yeah. and then kind of some of the other great like non-finals matches from Class D were Easton Malik's down 1-0 with 10 seconds left and laying on the mat in the quarterfinals, and you're like, well, Stewart's going to win this, and he's going to stay on track to be a 4-time state champion. And all at once, Malik just fishes a leg out, reverses him right to his back, and beats him 6-1. And, like, when Stewart went to his back and he heard the 2 count, he just, like, puts his hands over his face like, oh, my goodness, I can't believe this just happened. That very next match on that same mat is Plainview's Bo Johnson. Bo Johnson wrestles Lincoln Nickel-Isaac in an ultimate tiebreaker match where it looked like maybe there was going to be a locked hands call at the end of ultimate tiebreaker. At the end of the day, I don't think it was locked hands. And Johnson goes on to make the finals. And then
they didn't have the brick.
Yeah. And then I don't think it would have been overturned. But then the craziest match of Thursday was at heavyweight. You got Levi Goal of Clarkson Lee and Kyan Sones, and I was clear down on the other end of the arena, but I was like watching it. That match was 11-10, and at one time Gall was on his back, and one time Sones was on his back. Like that, it was just a wild match.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go. I mean, Class C, Frick, 138. Ivan Tamayo, dude. Really, just his run in general through 138. He had to beat number 2 Quinn Jensen, number 3 Ashton Kuhar, number 4 Logan Zimmerman, just to make the finals. And like the story behind him is that he doesn't have a ton of experience prior to junior high wrestling, according to his coaches when I talked to them at Ord.
Dang.
So like he largely came out of nowhere, but like when you watch the kid wrestle, you realize like this kid's really good on his feet, stays in great position. Fantastic job by him. Just his body of work on the weekend. And then Jesse Divis and Cale Smith match in the semifinals at 190. So Divis is from David City. Cale Smith's from Minden. Divis was down 10-1 at the end of the first period.
13-2.
or
I just
13 to
pulled it up.
2.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 13
I
to
just pulled it
2.
up.
Yes, that's right. And he gets 4 takedowns in the next 2 periods, and then ultimately wins by pin because Cale Smith is just gassed. And the celebration ensues. Like, Tanner's freaking yelling, Jesse freaking Davis, you know, like, and everybody's just freaking out. Like, that was the moment of the tournament. Might have been the moment of the last 3 tournaments for me. Like, that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And I was so glad that I got to actually film that celebration too, because it was fantastic.
The David City crew with their shirts off, the kids up in the stand. I mean, that was just bananas.
Oh.
It was fun.
Oh, dude. Yeah, so that was mine.
Okay. Anything else from C and D, fellas? I'll knock these A and B ones out real quick.
No, let's just shoot. Just go. We're at an hour 15. So
Yep. All right. Mathis and Marco at A120. I know he lost to Rudy Rodriguez twice this year, and at least twice. I'm gonna say at least twice. I looked this up a few days ago. But Cody has a note in here that it's the first time in 2 years, so there maybe is some history here. Anyways, Marco won that one in what you call like a mild upset. I think the last time they wrestled it was super close also. But Marco won that one, and kind of like maybe shades of last year when he was maybe a slight underdog in the semifinals and made the finals. And, you know, I'm sure he's going to probably try and find a way to be at a different weight than Cruiser Dominguez next year. The 132 match between Creighton Lassen and Ian Hardy was amazing. I'd love to see a true third between Ian Hardy and Cole Caniglia, and they probably are going to be wrestling in the MWC room before too long anyways. But that match ended up being 9-6. Lassen, it was 4-4 after 2 periods, and then Lassen got a takedown there in the 3rd period that sort of like iced the deal. But great match. That was awesome. And then Kieran Ackerson had to, I mean, Colton Kelly took him into deep waters. That was like an ultimate tiebreaker style match. And I swear to, I mean, Colton Kelly himself, every single match he had was like close. I feel like it.
that's like his MO though.
Dude, I mean that
he
that
wrestles more
quarterfinal
close
match
matches than
Isaac
anybody.
I mean, there was, close calls. Like, the Columbus fans are super upset, and that was a wild one. But yeah, so was Kelly and Ackerson as well. And again, you can't get them all. Like there's lots of other great matches outside of that. Class B, the ones that stood out to me, I was kind of sitting Matt's side for Hanshaw over Goebel, and I mean, that was an excellent match. And Hanshaw got the takedown at the buzzer, and again, kind of the same thing. Lots of fervor over it. I'm sure if you're a Syracuse fan, you don't think it was a takedown, and I'm sure if you're a Beatrice fan, you're like, well, yeah. But I mean, so yeah, takedown. Just kidding. That was a tough call there, and like that's the whole other topic maybe for another day. But like, goodness, there's a lot on the line at state, and so everything's magnified, and there are some close calls, and there's some sadness involved. It's just like it stinks, and you feel for the people that are on the wrong end of a close call. I'm not going to say if it's a right or wrong, but those close calls, I mean, they make huge differences. And Shiflett versus Strange in the B106 semis. I mean, I don't know. Did you guys watch that one? Flo put it up on the thing when
pretty nuts.
Shiflett had the leg cradle. Like, he locked up a leg cradle, but
nobody had scored.
There was no points given. Shiflett had a leg cradle locked up, but Strange is sort of upright, so it didn't if you have a leg cradle locked up, usually the other person's like fighting for their life on their back, but it wasn't really like that, or it kind of was. So it was just like, I don't know,
it's kind of reminded me of the idea of Matt McCart, Jose Hernandez, circa 2002.
Oh yeah,
somebody's got to be getting back points here.
Yeah, dude. Go ahead.
That was just a wild exchange. Like, I actually think I watched that video 4 or 5 times, and Strange is laying on Shiflett's leg, so he's not near fall criteria, because Shiflett's leg is blocking him from going into near fall criteria. I actually think the official got the call right.
So I mean, I'm not in disagreement there because like let's say if you had a guy like that sits the corner, and if you're a wrestling nerd, you'll understand this. Like usually the other person has a single, but you can hook the back leg with your right leg. Like if he's on your left leg in a single, and if you touch your feet together in that position, it doesn't mean it's a takedown. They still have a single leg. So I don't know. It's close. Again, I can see why one team's upset, and I can see why the other team's probably like, no, that's the right call. And I mean, those are the types of things that just wrestling is going to have. There's no real way to get past that. The other match where I'm not sure there was a ton of like controversy necessarily, but the semifinal match between Blaze Bauman and Logan Rowell from Auburn was like crazy because it was
that was the Auburn kid coming back from a bigger deficit, wasn't it?
Well, it was back and forth. So
Okay.
Bauman was up 7-0 early, but then this is all first period. So it's 7-0. Rowell gets out from Auburn, escape, takedown, 2 near falls, 7-6. Then he gets a penalty point and escape, a takedown. So now he's up 11-7. And then Bauman gets a reversal and 4 near fall with a minute left. Rowell gets out with 49 seconds left, but doesn't get the takedown. And then like Bauman goes on to win in the finals. So, I mean, that was at 13-12 at 2:15. You don't see that very often. I mean, it's just like back and forth, like 2 of the top guys in Class B, state final spot on the line. Like they left it all out there. It was, again, like, heartbreak for one person and dreams made for another. So those are kind of like probably my favorite. I mean, the Goebel hand shot match in the quarters that we talked about, like that was, probably if you follow B the whole season, that's the winner of that one's likely going to make the finals, and that's what happened. And Handshot would go on to win, and Goebel already had a win over Arata too. So good stuff. Take it away, Sean.
Not a ton to go on, but not that there weren't matches, but just like you said, you don't see everything and you don't get to watch everything you want to. But some of the ones that stood out to me, Class A, right away on day one, we had some huge quarterfinals just based off some district upsets where we had Macy Barber has to go up against Jay Cherie Bray right away in the quarters. That was a super tight match, 2-1 in tiebreakers. Bray gets the win and moves on. Barber came back to finish third, which was her 4th third medal. Super impressive career for her. And then the weight above, Ashley Nahara, who was the state champion, had to go through our previously top-ranked wrestler, Sandra Takara, right away in the quarters also. She ended up winning that one by fall. It was 0-0 after the first. She got a takedown and maybe a stall or penalty point in the second, and ends up getting a couple takedowns in the third to win by fall. So those are pretty big quarterfinals that you'd hope to see in the semis or the finals, but that's not the way things work out. Those stood out to me. Class B lightweights. I'd really been watching Capri Sayer from Southwest come on throughout the year, and I think I mentioned once, like maybe undervalued her a little bit, and she worked her way back up to where I thought, shoot, she could be a potential finalist and maybe a state champion. She wrestles Haley Darling from UTAN early on Tuesday, I guess, not Thursday, but Tuesday, and that's a 7-6 match. A fun one there.
That was a match.
Yeah, I mean,
standing match for that to film the ending of that, and like, holy smokes, like Sayer was in to potentially score a couple different times, didn't finish or couldn't finish because Darling's obviously a good defender too, and like that was an awesome match.
Yeah,
awesome,
very fun. And we'll get a chance hopefully to see those girls over the next couple of years. There are a lot of really, really good underclassmen in that 100 and 105 range. And then kind of a wrestler that stood out does things that remembered. Olivia McDonald from SEM, another freshman. She could be in any match down 6, 7, 10, 13, whatever. It's not over. She picked up a couple pins that way, I think, in the state tournament. Excuse me. Yeah.
She was getting beat bad in the quarterfinals by Streff from Pierce. It was like 9-1. And she headlocked her and pinned her.
What, were you sitting up close to me or somebody? We might have, you or Cody or someone might go, hey, this isn't over, dude. Watch this girl in purple. And soon enough, hits it to her back and it's a stick. And there were a couple instances like that. And my dad actually kind of led me on and said, hey, watch this girl. We've seen her a bunch this year. And that's kind of the story. It happens more than you would anticipate from any one wrestler. So that's one that stood out for me in those matches.
Cool.
Okay, so we're gonna do quick hits. We're gonna make these quick hitters, not full on 5-minute descriptions.
Because we could talk about a lot of this. Like, there's going to be a
Yeah, I
million
mean
and
we're
everything.
gonna end up having 2-hour show, and
It's still
you
going to
guys-
be a 2-hour show.
you guys are
So
struggling.
do a couple quick hitters.
Okay, so quick hitters, biggest upset of the tournament that you know of. We go right back to Sean. Girls A, then B.
Sure. I guess in Class A,
You have to
Yeah.
re-say what you were just saying.
Oh my
because-
God.
slow my voice down too, 'cause I know I'm Russian. It wasn't so much a singular match in Class A, but a couple girls that were either unranked or very low ranked on our rankings, which is our opinion. Daisy Alonso Gomez of Fremont and Olivia Tucker from Lincoln East both reached the semis, kind of unheralded. So those obviously pulled a couple upsets on the way to get there, find the medal stand. And then I think the biggest upset in Class B for me was still at 235, seeing Evelyn Bryant Aldrich go down. She'd kind of beaten everybody all year long, but it comes down to a single match, and sometimes that crap happens. But that's what stood out to me.
Yep. Class D.
It's not a huge upset to me, but Landon Shoemaker beating Logan Vandenberg for Aquinas from Aquinas in the first round of the state tournament at 150 was kind of a big deal because it moved Vandenberg to the backside of the bracket and then put him in a consolation second round match against Calvin Caraher from Franklin, which then essentially knocks him out of the tournament, which essentially then knocked Aquinas out of being in the team title race.
Yeah, so Class C, I'm gonna go with Lane Davidson of Shadron. Dude,
Your guy.
When-
He called it.
dude, well, when I saw him at Boone Central, I texted you guys immediately. It was like, he's gonna be a problem in 165, and then he goes and gets freaking third. And we hadn't had him ranked all season long, so
Well, you could have ranked
but
him after Boone Central, though.
I think I did. I think I put
Okay.
him in
Oh,
top
okay.
10.
You did. Nice. Love that.
But he did beat Cole Kansteiner for third place, which was like the validating win of the tournament. It was like he wrestled really well, had kind of the benefit. He was the benefactor of that quarter, or the quarter that he got drawn into, or whatever you want to call it, but then also validated himself there for third and fourth. So, but hats off to him. That was kind of the biggest upset of the tournament in Class C for me. One of them. Drew.
Yeah, I'm gonna maybe catch a little grief about this because of my shirt, but Talon Belding from Beatrice had majored Kurt Carlson 17-8 when they wrestled in the duel, and Carlson like that match was crazy because Belding came out at like a cannon in the quarterfinals and built a really big lead. It was 9-4, but then the switch flipped. I think Carlson put up. It was getting close to a tech late in the match, and he got the pin. So something happened there. So you have senior versus freshman. So that was a huge upset in Class B. That's mine for B for sure. Let me
What's
see.
Cody got for A?
Oh, the Starks kid, the freshman from Omaha North over Heisch was a decent upset. Starks kind of proved himself there coming back through the bracket. You're after the semifinal. He's a good solid wrestler.
Just a freshman too, right?
Yeah. Sorry. Starks ended up getting 6, but the fact that he majored Heisch, who was kind of like on the radar for being, like top 3 or 4, was pretty standoutish in Class A. So yeah, there you go. Moving on. Can only do one.
Okay, we're gonna make this like lightning round.
Okay, let's do it.
Most brutal loaded weight class of the tournament. Sean, Class A girls.
190,
Class B girls.
115.
Yeah, that one's kind of easy. 115 B girls was
That was
nuts.
awesome, dude. That was a ton of fun.
Yeah. Class D.
138.
I would go with 132 or 138 in C as well, but I'll stay with 32. B and A.
Yeah, so Cody has. I'm gonna let Cody have his A132, which is a great weight class, but I'm gonna probably say 144. You had some really good kids that didn't get a medal there.
In Class B?
Oh boy, Class B. Man, everything was so chalky in Class B. 175. Like
Well,
yeah,
75 in C could have been that way for us too. Yes.
well, I mean, Kazelka got 6th. He was undefeated going to the tournament. Zane Thompson won fall brawl and got 5th. Grady Meyer loses by a fingernail to Reese Knight in the semifinals, and Knight loses by a fingernail to Rotella in the finals. So like the margin is, those are just great wrestlers across the board. So
Okay.
there you go.
Another lightning round. Freshman, sophomore that you know now is going to be a future star because of their performance this weekend. Girls, A and B.
Oh shoot. Start with B. A couple of girls that stood out that you had known about, but not fully. Not sure if I pronounced this last name right, so sorry, Dakota. But Dakota Chiloa from Fort Calhoun. Yarly Santiago from Norfolk Catholic also found a medal stand, and I didn't really expect that. In Class A, you have your big ones: Kenley Harris, Jaden Jones, but like Paisley Meyer at 115 looked really good, I thought. So she's another one that sticks out. I'll leave it at that. Let you guys hit yours.
Class D.
A kid that I apologize. I predicted him to go 0-2, and he lost his first round match 7-5 to Colt Kromerick, and then put together a hit list on the backside of the bracket, taking out number 6 Drake Arnsdorf, number 5 Scotty Anderson, number 9 Trevor Steffen, number 10 Cable Larson, all the way back to 4th place to lose to Colt Kromerick again in overtime. Lost to Colt Kromerick twice at the state tournament by a combined 5 points.
Who was it?
Royce Hansen from Stanton.
Oh, those Hansons. They are
Hansons.
Yeah,
they are just.
And I knew who he was because I had him ranked at 144, and then he goes down to 144, and I thought maybe he wouldn't even qualify for state, and then he comes to the state tournament and gets 4th.
Twice this season, I ranked him in Class C and had to fix it because I thought they were C, and then I'm like, oh, they're D.
Kale.
But that's how he. Like I'm just telling you, he's good.
Honest.
He's good.
And that's part of the reason why I said that 138 was so deep, is because I didn't even have him ranked, and he comes back and comes to the state tournament and gets 4th place. So shout out to the Hansen family for a great state tournament.
Class
I think
C,
we lost the plot on lightning round there, Colin. But
yeah, Class C, I'm going with Ivan Tamayo. I don't know how you can go with anybody else. Like go from. I think he was ranked maybe top 7 most of the year.
How old is he?
He's a freshman.
What?
Made the finals, dude.
Golly. Okay.
Yes, he's a freshman.
I'm like, hang on a second. Is he? All right. Yeah. Wow. Okay. You don't have to go with just one. You can name a few. Just don't go into detail.
Well, then I'll go homerism here on this. Jet Vaca, sophomore, Logan View, wrestled all the way through to get 3rd in that bracket. Found some offense this finally, and he's tough to score on. We already knew that, but got to give hats off to him because he started pulling the trigger a little bit this week, and then good things happen, which is exactly what we thought. So, sky's the limit with that one. Really,
I'm gonna flip it, and I'm just only gonna do freshmen because there's that. If I do sophomores, there's probably too many names. I just want to name some names. Shout out for Class A to Terrence Crawford, who is now a star like his dad, based off his performance. Solomon Starks at 285. We talked about those guys. Freshman medalists in A. Aside from them, Subi Manzitto, Elkhorn South, Holden Townsley, Millard West, who's future star status for sure, in my opinion. Chase Jenny, Columbus. That's it for A. B, Colton Strange, who had 2 very, very narrow wins over Crawford this season. There are a couple close ones. So that could be, a little cross-class rivalry over the years. Levi DeVetter, runner-up at 213. Gage Rupiper from Gretna. We've talked a lot about Carson Hanshaw. Jackson Grebe from Gretna got 6th at B120 and beat Hanshaw in the district finals. So those two might be familiar with each other. Kid that wasn't on the radar necessarily until he dropped weight late in the season from 32-26, Bentley Holmes, Mount Michael. And here, these two are going to be probably button heads for a little while. Harrison Alley, Lincoln Standing Bears first ever state medalist. Crew Carlson from Scott, that's 3rd and 6th place in Class B. Paxton Morgan from Bennington. I'm getting long-winded. Sorry, Colin. I was giving you a hard time.
Jeez.
Morgan was hurt. Like, he's hurt. He's not even full strength, and he wrestled 138 early in the season, and he got 5th at 150. I mean, come on.
Sick lightning round, bro.
Yeah, Forrest Ewing. I was just going to try and name names. Forrest Ewing, 165 or 57. You're throwing me off my game. Got 4th place, and then Mason Mostek from Bennington, the 195-pound, 285-pounder, got 6th. That wasn't that bad.
Okay, last thing. This is true lightning round. You can't give any reason for these answers.
I'm sorry. That's my bad.
Okay. Sean, you ready? Because I'm starting with you. So unmute yourself.
Okay.
Good catch. Really good catch.
Okay.
Nice.
Class B girls. What is the program that is on the rise or clearly trending up?
I mean, we talked about homerism. I think Ord's going to have a pretty bright future here over the next few years. They bring everybody back. You said not explained. So
Yep.
Ord is one.
Okay. Class A girls.
Still Class B, Central City. Can't leave them out. Class A girls, Bellevue East, fun to watch. I think Bellevue East is going to have they trend upward at the end of the year every year, and they're starting higher and finishing higher. It seems like every year. So that's probably my A team.
Class D.
Amherst and Elm Creek.
Class.
It's weird to hear
Elm for last.
Oh, dang it! It's weird to hear Amherst in like a trending up team because they're just so synonymous with success. But yeah.
Well, they are to Class D, but like when they were up in Class C, I think the highest finish they ever finished was like 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Class B, Drew.
I mean, DC West. Like it's just the start of it. Keep going. Sorry, I'm done.
Class A.
Actress.
Class A. Lincoln Southeast.
Okay. Well, for Class C, and I'm going to catch some flack for this, but Donovan Trumbull.
Oh, it's been over an hour and a half, and you finally did it.
Actually, Central City is going
personnel.
to be right there too. So
did you talk about
weird.
Widener and the freshman even?
Didn't talk about him.
Oh well, you missed that. Anyways, what else do we have?
Well, I also want to say Mitchell. Mitchell's on the rise because they return everybody. They'll be like top 4 with points returning. So.
Oh, nice.
And for Coach Herman, York girls, I think, are going to have a great next couple years too.
I think that's basically. I mean, we can talk real quick about. Well, now we can wait for another time.
The teams that need to reload.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like a bad one to end with.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I do. I have to.
We can talk about that in our returning team points if we want.
Yeah.
In the article.
Yeah.
Or go ahead, Colin. Say what you want to say.
I have 2 things that I want to end with. Like, I mentioned this to Kale when we were leaving the arena on Wednesday night after the girls' tournament was over. And I'm like, hey, my favorite thing about girls wrestling right now is the fact that there's still the unknown. And it keeps you locked into every match because you have no idea. Like, yeah, there's some girls that are really, really good, but they're still capable of losing. Like, we've seen Jordan Campbell lose this year, So I appreciate the fact with girls wrestling that there's still a little bit of unknown, even though it is getting way better.
I'll add on to that. I think you're seeing that diminish a little bit, and the evidence for that is the number of freshman state qualifiers is down this year. The number of freshman state medalists is way down this year. That means the development that's going on in these rooms is starting to take hold, and now you're seeing a lot of juniors and seniors and upperclassmen win these things. Whereas, the past couple of years, you could come in as a freshman and be in pretty great shape. But no, I think you're right on the money.
And then the other thing is like under our final takeaway in the notes, like I wrote a big synopsis here because I like banged on the tongue.
Okay, I was gonna say that I want to hold on the state tournament seating and some of the other takes for a future one, if that's where you're going.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do separate.
No, yeah,
Don't talk about
we'll talk about that. But the one thing that I was gonna mention is how cool the unified matches are Friday night before the semifinals. Like, gives those kids that have disabilities a chance to compete in front of a sellout crowd, the biggest crowd that's at any high school state sporting event in Nebraska. I'm sure of it. And I think that's just a really cool moment for those guys. And shout out Ron Higdon for getting that put together. And yeah.
Hey, shout out
those kids are so happy, and shout out to the to their opponents that take the time to do that. And
right.
The reception is great. Like there's a huge round of applause. Everybody's kind of locked into those. So I think that's kind of speaks really, highly of the wrestling community also to kind of layer that support on those kids that are wrestling out there. So
they have the results on the track wrestling of the matches. They get medals. I mean, like, come on.
It's pretty sweet.
That's the wholesome content we all need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that's going to be.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say, stay tuned for our state seating and maybe other controversial takes episode coming.
So yeah, basically, like, if you like to listen to us talk and ramble, like, especially when it gets to some more hot takey type stuff and debate, because I'm sure that these next few episodes that we will be putting out when it comes to state seating, number of classes, oh my gosh, state dual structure in terms of like dual scheduling and all that kind of stuff. We kind of put that on the back burner with what state tournament was this last week. Like, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of coaches have been talking about. And actually, I'll just say it, we had some comments that thanked us in our preview of the boys episode for Colin basically pounding his fist into the table, taking on some, like, asking people to propose this and that. And so, like, we know that our voices can help others be aware of what's going on too. So if you guys have anything for us really that maybe you want to help get pushed out there, like, we'll gladly talk about it too when it comes to proposing and making the sport better.
There's also
that kind of conversation.
There's also voices in that sometimes they have a little bit of a platform that say things that are they're saying from a selfish angle that aren't necessarily viewing it like in the lenses that they should. So we can maybe get into that later too.
Yeah. Basically, off-season wrestling is going to be fun too. So
yep, get signed up for AAU State. We're going to be there in Kearney. We're going to have some people there creating some content from the event.
If you're a state champ, let us know when you get registered. We got shirts for you.
Yep, we'll be there 3 days of fun in Kearney, and then Huskerland, and then several other off-season events that are going to come up. I'm heading to Cleveland for NCAAs, so we should maybe do an NCAA show too. Talk about the Huskers, maybe go over some of the college stuff that haven't been able to cover like we'd want. Yeah. Thank you guys for following along. Thank you, Joe, for supporting us and allowing us to do this.
That's what I was going to say was Joe.
Yeah.
Old Joe.
Hey, Milford's, they're still going to be all right. They're going to actually probably be better next year maybe than this year even. They got a good building blocks.
Well, we'll be able to touch on some of that too, because we have the football numbers out, so we can potentially work through some potential classification stuff too.
We could do an episode talking about bubble teams. Oh man, this is exciting. Look at this, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Stay tuned.
All right. Adios.